name's Petra and I'm here today with my lovely daughter Natasha. Together we're Knit Inc. and we are bringing you episode 16.
Yeah, we're still here. We're still doing it.
We're still really excited to be doing it.
Yeah.
So welcome everybody.
Yeah, welcome to our new viewers and welcome back to our returning viewers. We're glad you're here. We'd love it if you'd subscribe to our channel. There's a button somewhere so that you get notified when we have a new video. And yeah, today is May 29th. Mm-hmm. It is Memorial Day weekend here in the US, but Memorial Day weekend's one of those holiday weekends where it could either be really nice and beautiful or cold. And it is a cold, rainy weekend. I think it's like in the 40s. Mm-hmm. I'm a little chilly even right now. And my husband up in Boston messaged me that he turned the heat on. So it is May 29th and we have the heat on in Boston versus the other weekend where it was 90 degrees and we put the AC in. So the New England weather continues to be ever-changing, but I am happy to be here and record another episode with you. And what else has been going on the past 2 weeks besides the weather?
Well, we have no Wi-Fi. I just want to add too. The heat is on and the Wi-Fi is off. There's been issues with the power all night long, on and off, on and off. I'm not sure what's going on, and we have really poor cell phone service here too, so we might not be able to look up names and things that we can't remember, and if it's not in our show notes, in our paper show notes that we make ahead of time, but we will add all the sort of key information in our show notes below. Mm-hmm. Natasha, do you want to talk about how to find the show notes?
Yeah, I think sometimes it can be difficult depending on what device you're watching on YouTube. Sometimes on your phone or an iPad, I think there's a little down arrow right under the video. I know there can be like ads and stuff, so it can be a little difficult to navigate. Mm-hmm. But maybe there's sometimes, I think if you're on a laptop, there might be a show more. There might not be. If not, there's a little arrow. I don't think you can access them when you're watching on, say, like a TV through the YouTube app or something. Mm-hmm. But we will try and start adding some show notes on Ravelry. I know Ravelry isn't accessible for everyone, but we are find the Knit Inc. group on Ravelry and I'll put the show notes there. If you can't access Ravelry, hopefully you can access the YouTube show notes. And if you can't find those, just message us if there's something you're curious to learn more about, or if we missed something, and we'll do our best to reply. If you'd like to, you can message us on Instagram. We are knit_inc. Or you can email us at knitinc2019@gmail.com. So there's that. Besides that info, I think, we've been doing some knitting the last 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Despite it being cold and rainy today, there has been some nice weather. So it's starting to be nice to have dinner outside and go for some nice walks during the day. So that's exciting, and I think I even made it to the beach the other weekend.
Oh, nice.
So
have you started to have dinner on your deck in Boston?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's nice. And I've started to really work in my garden in earnest, so the evenings are longer, and at the end of my work day, I manage to go outside and work in the garden for an hour or so, and I'll send you some pictures to insert, because everything is just coming to opening up. A lot of flowers are just opening it up, and I haven't done such a great job of planting out my vegetable garden yet this year. I'm really behind. I have a lot of garlic coming up and I've got some tomato seedlings, peppers and herbs, but not much else. So when all this rain stops, I hope to go out and plant. I'm taking an extra day off, so.
Oh, good. Yeah, I think the rain will be good for people who have been struggling with allergies like me.
Oh, yes.
And for things to be growing, so it's good. I just wish it wasn't on the weekend.
I know.
I don't mind when it rains during the weekday as much on the weekend, but
it's good knitting weather.
That's true. Okay, so speaking of that, should we get into some of the knitting?
Yeah. How about with what are you wearing today, Natasha?
Okay, let me get my little sign here. So this is the Este. By Justyna Lorkowska. So I was working on this last time and I have finished it. So this was with my Ella Rae silk that I got at Driftwood Yarns, and it has this really nice lacy detail. So the pattern has, I think you can tell, the pattern ends where right here, and then you would do a little ribbing. I wanted the lace to continue a little bit longer. You can see it would have been done here. So I did this was an eight row lace pattern, and the pattern has you end on row 2. So I finished through the 8 and then did another 1 through 8, and then I did the twisted 1x1 ribbing, and then here's the bottom, so you can actually see where I had my new skein.
Gosh.
I didn't realize that this was going to have such difference between the skeins. They were definitely the same dye lot, but the second skein was definitely darker. You can see.
That's really interesting because this is a commercial line.
Yeah, and
it was the same lot number.
And you can even see that the sleeves here, because I came back and did the sleeves app with the second skein too, are also a little darker, which is kind of interesting. I think it totally is fine. Like, it doesn't bother me at all, and I think if anything, it's nicer to have things be a little darker at the bottom versus the reverse. But
you're lucky that the changeover was kind of in the lower third and it didn't hit you like slap bang here, for example, or for me in the middle of my stomach.
Yeah.
So you're lucky that it worked out.
Yeah.
But I'm really surprised. I think you should go to and show Elizabeth at Driftwood Yarns.
Yeah. There's some nice, I don't know if it comes across super well. It does a little bit. There's some short row shaping that you do to get kind of this little
I see.
front and back thing here.
That is nice.
And then there is a slipped stitch seam, but I mean not a slip stitch. It's a purl seam. I honestly think that it's not like totally worth even to have done that. But
so you know what, I disagree with you on that, Natasha. You may think it doesn't show up too much, which is true, but it does help a little bit in terms of structure.
Oh, okay.
Having that, creating a faux seam, because I've done it on some things and I've also not done it. Mm-hmm. But I really do. I mean, it is subtle, but I really do think that it helps a little bit in terms of keeping the shape.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm glad I did it then. Yeah, I mean, modification wise, I guess I did. I added the little sleeves. I did twisted rib instead of regular 1x1. Oh, and I think the pattern calls for size 4 for the ribbing, but I actually did size 3, and part of that was because I wanted to pull in the neck a little bit more. I was worried it was going to be too loose, and I didn't want to have to worry about bra straps or it falling off my shoulder, so I did size 3 to pull in. I probably could have done size 4 on my sleeves just to make those a little bit looser, but they're fine. Mm-hmm. And the yarn itself is like super light. This is gonna be a great summer knit. Mm-hmm. I definitely have goosebumps right now.
I know
but it's gonna be, I'm excited to wear it. Yeah.
So do you start with the rib or did you pick up stitches?
You picked up stitches.
So I'm glad that you were able to pull that in, because the sweater I'm working for my mom, I'm worried that it's too big here. Yeah. And it is gonna have an added neckband, so that's good that I might have
the pattern didn't have the stitch count to pick up for the neckband. It said to pick up 4 stitches for every 5 rows, so I did that, and then I think I decreased like 10 stitches on my next row.
Oh wow.
Or something like that, just because I was a little nervous. So that's something you can do too, where if you pick up, you don't want to pick up too few, and because then it'll create bunching.
Right.
So I think if you pick up, kind of around what you should match up with the rows, and then just do a decreased row, space out, like
evenly.
You can even be just like 5 stitches could make a difference. I think it probably did like 7, and that helps too.
That's really good advice. Yes.
So I think that's all I have to say about this. I'm glad I did the extra little length in the sleeves, nice, and it's just like kind of boxy. There was a little shaping here, a couple decreases after you join for the body. It was knit top down.
So I like to have sleeves that come down to about here. So now that I know that you've added this extra, you could have gone.
I could have kept
longer.
going for sure.
So I might. I might do this, and I think I might already have some yarn.
I'm
actually.
sure you have yarn.
And it feels really great. It's 100% silk.
Yeah,
it's going to be
and it's nice
gorgeous.
and drapey. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you wearing?
Gosh, I am wearing this top that I made in 2016. I was surprised that I've had it for such a long time, and the color has definitely faded. It's so I am not going to remember the name. It's somebody's name, and it's called the interesting thing. It's called the Sleeveless Cardi, and it's not a cardi. And I've added sleeves, so
it's called the Sleeveless Cardi, but it's neither of those things.
But it's neither of those things, yeah. But we will put a link in. As I said, it's an old pattern, and it's got basically it's a raglan top-down sweater.
Yeah.
But you do yarn overs here for the raglan increasing, which gives this sort of a nice pattern. I'm wearing a black tank top underneath. It's knit in, it's 100% cotton ribbon yarn that is discontinued, I'm sure. And as I say, it has really faded over time, but and I knit it on pretty big needles, I think US size 8 needles. So it went quite quickly, and it's got an asymmetric hem. I'm just going to stand up and show you a little detail. It's got this kind of...
Oh, so that matches the sleeves.
Yeah, that matches the sleeves, and this goes. You can see that it's longer at the back, and then it's got this kind of elongated section, which I think was kind of the thing in 2016. You know, these big asymmetric hems, and I was really into it. And it's quite long, so it's nice to wear with slim jeans or leggings. Although Anna tells me that they're not in fashion anymore.
Right, no, apparently I see some wide leg pants.
Well, I'm not ready for that, really. So yes, so I'm sorry I can't tell you exactly what the name is,
it'll
but
be below.
Natasha will, maybe the name will fly by. So it is a summer top, but it's got long sleeves, and I'm definitely warmer than you are, Natasha.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's good for a chilly summer day.
It's good for chilly, and for transitioning, and it still fits me. It's a little snug.
And I think the fading is actually okay. Like, it's like it looks like kind of like not acid wash, but just like
weathered.
Yeah.
It was a bright blue.
Yeah. So how often do you reblock it, or how do you wash it?
Oh yeah, so I do wash it in the washing machine.
Oh, you do?
On a cold, gentle cycle.
Okay.
And then I dry it flat.
Oh.
But it can take a while to dry, because it's actually pretty dense with the ribbon yarn.
And cotton takes a while to
dry. And
dry.
cotton does take a while to dry, yeah.
Huh.
And I used every little bit of yarn that I had.
That's nice. That's always
I had
nice
no leftovers with this.
Yeah, I had about just over at least half a skein left. I think I put it in my Ravelry. I waited after of this. So, yeah.
So you know what? I have a gray. I wonder if the gray fading into the green might be a nice.
Yeah.
I might even have two. No, I only have one skein of gray. The gray is really nice. It's got a lot of flex in it. Oh, that could be another one of my dream knittings.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So FOs, Natasha.
Sure. All right. I have two little FOs. These are some little hats. These were, I think it was just like the basic beginner hat, and it comes in a bunch of different sizes. I'll put it below. I've done it before, so I did a newborn size and a toddler size. My friend Courtney had a baby on May 20th, so 9 days old. So this is for him, this is for Grayson, and then his big brother Julian is getting this hat. So I hope that this will fit them in the fall or a chilly summer night. This is cotton yarn. This is that Scheepjes yarn. So I did like helical knitting, and actually let me grab one of the little skeins so I can show you what it looks like.
Okay, Natasha, and while you're doing that, we got our Wi-Fi back.
Woohoo!
I know. So I'm just scrolling through my Ravelry page.
We're in what we like the sunroom or studio, so there's skylights above us. So hopefully the rain pounding down isn't too loud. I hope.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are the little Scheepjes skeins, and we've showed these before because Anna was working on this with her doggy sweater. So it's 100% cotton, right? Oh no, sorry, it's 70% cotton, 30% acrylic. So what I've been doing for these little baby hats is I'll take like 2 or 3 skeins. I'll do the ribbing, and then I will just, after the ribbing, I'll just introduce a new color. And this was actually 2 colors, this top, but they were so close, and I thought it was kind of fun to have it color blocked like this. And then what I had left over from this, I used on the ribbing, and then I just started again. So it's a fun way to use these little skeins, and I bet you could do it with like scraps. This is, I think, an Aran weight. So that's been kind of fun, and I think these are good for baby hats because they aren't going to be itchy and they're durable, and they knit up super quick. I actually knit this at the beach.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I should have my friend take a photo, but yeah,
cute.
I did this in an afternoon, literally.
Did you say what size needles you're using?
Oh, so 6 for the ribbing and 8 for the rest.
Okay.
So yeah, they're still a little damp, but from blocking, but I will get these in the mail to Courtney this week.
Nice. And so you're going through my little sheepies.
Yes.
Which is good. I'm definitely excited to get yarn out, yarn in. So this is Rosa's sleeveless cardi or jumper.
Oh,
so
okay.
you can, and it's a free pattern on Ravelry. And there's been 744 projects, but it's a very adaptable pattern because it's basically it's basically a worsted weight top down raglan with some interesting details that you can include or not.
Okay, so do you have any FOs to share?
I just have 2 little FOs to share.
2 little FOs.
And I have a hat too.
Oh wow, you know what's funny is we never mentioned to each other that we were going to work on hats in these next 2 weeks, and we both just decided to do some hats. I feel like sometimes it's nice after you've done a bunch of like garments and things like that, mixing in a hat is just kind of like a nice little palette cleanser, and somehow we both just happened to do that.
That is funny. Well, it was on my list. My sweet nephew in England asked me to make him a beanie, a grey beanie, and so I did, and I used a free pattern from Purl SoHo called the Classic Cuffed Hat. So it's got a 4-inch brim. It comes in 3 sizes, and this is the adult size.
So you can wear it like kind of slouchy,
which he doesn't want to wear, I don't think. He's gonna wear it with the cuffed. He wants like a snug beanie.
So you would do like does it go all the way up like this?
I think halfway maybe, or he can adjust it. There's no demarcation of where you turn it up.
Yeah. So
I went through my stash and looked for some grey yarn, and I had this in my stash. And on Ravelry, this is nice, Natasha.
It's cute.
Because I'm worried that it might be a bit too small for him, but I don't think it will be.
No, I don't think so. There's still give. It's not stretched to capacity yet.
And it's not blocked yet, and this is 100% superwash merino, so I feel like it will stretch. Fine. So the thing I want to say about this yarn is on Ravelry it says this is worsted.
Yeah.
And so I looked for worsted hat patterns, and I just picked this one, and it's an 88 stitch pattern. And I used size 6.
And it's free, so she's not giving away.
Yeah, it's a free pattern. I used US size 6, and then when I was, well into it, I realized this is really more like a DK weight yarn. And that's when I started to worry that it might be a bit too small. But I think it's going to be okay. I'm not going to knit another one. And I used this is a 50-gram ball. I used 150-gram ball plus I think another 7 grams or so from a second one. I had 4 of these in stash.
Oh, okay. So that seems like it's great for hats.
Yeah, so I don't know what I'll do with the rest of it, but maybe I'll just make more hats.
Yeah.
So this is ready to go to England, except last night I got an email that my flight was cancelled.
Yeah, I hope that that gets figured out.
So that's, I don't know, hopefully.
Oh, I should just want to quickly mention, this is a free hat pattern too.
Oh, good. Okay. And then, do you have any more FOs?
That's it.
Okay, I have one more, just one more, and it's the pair of socks that I've been working on.
Oh, we should have put these on blockers.
Oh,
next
yeah.
time.
And they're not blocked yet. I've been working on these for about 6 weeks.
You needed a little break from sock madness.
Yes, I did. So I'm just going, like last time we talked quite extra about the Primrose, I'm going to talk a little bit extra about socks, my sock knitting, just because quite a few of you have asked about how I knit my socks and sock resources. So this is not a sock tutorial by any means, sock knitting tutorial. There's a lot of really great sock tutorials out there on YouTube, and a lot of patterns, there's a lot of free patterns, there's a lot of paid for patterns. If you watch the Bakery Bears podcast, Kay makes a lot of socks, and she talks a lot about sock knitting, and I believe that she has a pretty amazing detailed pattern. I haven't tried her pattern, just to say. Mina Phillips from the Expat podcast, especially at the beginning of her podcast, she used to talk about socks a lot. She knit,
I don't think I've watched her podcast.
She's had a podcast for a really long time. She used to live in the Middle East. She's English.
Oh, you know, yeah.
Mina Phillips.
Yeah. I have, yeah.
And she did all these sock challenges, like knitting 30 pairs of socks in a month or something. But she's
30 pairs of socks in a month.
I know, it's really crazy. Yeah.
Pairs of socks.
Pairs of socks, but that was a few years ago.
That's 60 socks.
I know.
I've knit like 3 socks.
So I'm just going to tell you my favorites, my favorite way of knitting vanilla socks, and then I'm going to recommend two patterns. So, and I pretty much knit 2 styles.
Wait, I want to interrupt you for a second.
Okay.
So you're talking just like your basic regular sock, something that you would knit with like self-striping yarn, versus a patterned sock that has like lace details or other cables and things like that. So I just want to preface, this is just your this is just your no bells and whistles, I should say. It's just a vanilla sock.
Exactly. Also known as vanilla socks.
Also known as vanilla sock. Something that you would use colorful stripy yarn for.
Exactly.
Okay. Just in case there are some non-sock knitters out there that are like trying to understand the lingo, kind of like me. I'm trying to pick it up.
Okay, good, Natasha. Okay. So my favorite way of knitting socks is toe up. For several reasons. And to knit socks toe up, you cast on, it's called Judy's Magic Cast On, or I think the Russian cast on. But I will put a few links. There's YouTube videos, and essentially I do it on circular needles. I usually use US 1, which is 2.25 millimeters. And to do the cast on, I said it wasn't going to be a tutorial, but you kind of wrap around 2 stitches. 2 needles, sorry. The beginning can be a little bit tricky. And then I increase on every other row. So I cast on 12 stitches, and then I increase each side every other row until I get to the desired number of stitches, which my go-to is either 60, 64 or 68 stitches on the circumference, depending on who I'm knitting the socks for. So sort of small, medium and large. And then
so there's only a 4-stitch difference between sizes?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And then there's also the length of the foot, of course, where you adjust.
I guess that's probably size. More variable.
That is more variable, yeah.
That makes sense.
So I like to use contrast cuffs and heels when it's self-striping yarn, because often then I can get 2 pairs of socks out of a 100 gram self-striping yarn. So I finished this sock and I've got about 45 grams left. This was a Barocco stripy sock yarn. So that's one of the reasons. So then you just knit the tube, you knit the foot, and then I try on and I gauge how long to knit this before I put in essentially a short row heel. It's also called a German short row heel, or fish lips kiss heel. Fish lips is another pattern. I think it's only $1.
Oh yeah.
And it comes with, there's 20 pages, but you only really need one page to understand how to do the fish lips.
Yeah.
And then you do the heel turn, and there's no picking up of stitches when you do a toe up sock. And then then you can knit the leg as long as you want to. And the advantage of toe up is that you can knit until you run out of yarn. You know, you divide it in half. And then my favorite rib is 1x2, which I got from Nathan, the Sockmatician, and I really recommend Sockmatician's toe up socks. It's kind of a recipe and a formula. Okay. And I recommended him to a friend of ours, Beth, and she knit her first sock following his pattern. And Nathan, I don't know if you'll ever watch our podcast, but thank you. Nathan took the time to reply to Beth's questions when she had questions about her sock knitting. So I thought that was really great. The Sockmatician used to have a podcast that was one of my favorites. He's a UK knitter. So that's this kind of sock knitting. The other kind of socks that I knew, and this is a really old, well-worn pair. Also toe up socks, just without a contrast, heels, toes, and cuffs. But these have a gusset, which might be hard to see. I have a brand new sock that hasn't been worn yet.
So it's kind of like this triangle. You can kind of see it more in this one. Yeah, it has this like triangle bit here, so you can tell it's
a heel flap and gusset. Yeah. So that's my other kind of sock style that I like.
Triangle here.
Yeah.
You can see it here. So that's the gusset. And this is the heel flap part here, and then you pick up, right?
Well, you don't have to pick up. That's the thing.
When you just pick up stitches, I have no idea what I'm talking about.
And these are shorty socks. So these, when you knit toe up, when you knit heel flap and gusset socks toe up, you don't have to pick up the stitches, because the way that you do it is at a point about here, you start increasing for the gusset. And Nathan explains this really well in his Sockmatician's toe up sock pattern. So you increase for the gusset, and then when you do the heel turn and heel flap, you're decreasing those gusset stitches. And there's options to do different kinds of heel flaps to reinforce. So this is this might be the eye of partridge or a slip stitch heel, where you slip every other stitch, and so the heel is much thicker, and it's reinforced, and it wears better. And then you can then you just knit the leg part, as normal. So a lot of people find that the socks with the gusset and heel flap fit better, because you have more material around, just before your ankle, around that arch of your foot, where you have more material. And I actually do prefer the fit of a heel flap and gusset compared to this, because the foot is the same width until it's right around here, where if you knit the gusset and heel flap, you get you get more room. So these are kind of my two sock two patterns, and just lately I've gravitated more towards knitting this style of sock. But now that I'm reviewing this, I think I'm going to get back into gussets. So the thing about when you
back into gussets.
Get back into gusset. The thing about knitting a gusset is and you're using self-striping yarn, your striping is going to change. Your stripes are going to get narrower because you're increasing stitch count. So that's one of the reasons why I was doing the straight. And on this yarn, I mean, I'm sorry, these are really well-worn socks. It's pretty subtle, the change in stripe width, so it doesn't really bother me so much. So I hope I haven't butchered sock knitting too much. This is just a quick overview, and I'm going to put a link into my two favorite patterns that I used originally when I was learning how to use socks. But there's so much help on Google and podcasters that are, you know, a lot more expert at teaching and communicating sock knitting than I am. And then one other thing I want to add is you really do need to do a stretchy bind off. Otherwise it can be tough to put the sock on. So
like, isn't there like a Jenny's stretchy or something? A
yes.
Julie, a Judy, and a Jenny?
There's Judy and a Jenny, and I'm getting mixed up with them now. But we will. I think it'll be good for you to.
Oh yeah, we'll put it
insert it. Yeah, but now I do. And sometimes when you do too much of a stretchy bind off, it kind of the rib flares, which I don't like.
Yeah.
So now I do sort of a knit two together bind off, which has a nice finish because it looks like a braid. So instead of there's so many different ways of binding off, but instead of putting one stitch over another, I knit two stitches and then I knit two together. So I knit the next stitch, then I knit two together. So it gives you a little bit more fabric to give. Yeah. You can see it gives this stretch. So that's kind of my new favorite. But originally I was using the Magic bind off, which is free on Ravelry, where you do a yarn over before you slip one over, and that gives you the extra fabric. But anyway, I feel like I'm babbling on too much.
That's okay.
So that's a little bit of a dive to tempt you into sock knitting if you haven't done any.
If you're a brave enough soul. I commend you, sock knitters. I commend you.
I mean,
there is something beautiful about having them on the go, ready to go, but it's
not your jam.
Not my jam, and I'm not going to force it. You know,
no,
if
don't
I feel like
force
doing it. There are, I do have some yarn I do want to do socks with. I have some Arne and Carlos yarn I want to do.
Oh, so thank you. That's a really great segue into whips, because I just started my next vanilla pair of socks last night. I'm going to do contrast, and you know what? I think I'm going to do a gusset in these.
For it.
These are for my brother-in-law. He's like one of my #1 sock knitting fans, and this is a Arne and Carlos skein of yarn, and I'm going to try to find the ball band. It's one of the skeins we got on the cruise. It's my last skein. They have a whole new line of sock yarn now, and I haven't seen it in real life. So this is the
by Regia.
Yeah, I'm excited to get Arne and Carlos's new.
Oh yeah, you love a lot of their
new yarn. Yeah, so this is their Mountain and Fjords series, and I think I got two skeins. I've already knit one up, and you got a skein too.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So I said I'd stop talking about socks, but one more thing, I always have vanilla socks on the go, because if I need, it's great on the go sock knitting, or if I'm really tired, like. Last night, Natasha went out. She came back really late, and I was waiting up for her, like when she used to be a teenager. And I was tired, so I was just knitting on plain socks. Anyway, that's it for sock knitting.
Okay, so I guess we'll transition to other whips. So I want to just quickly touch base on our primroses. We did a lot of...
okay. Get mine.
These are the Primrose by Marie Wallin. We learned that it is not Wallin, it is Marie Wallin. So these are our Primrose sweaters. So we talked a lot about those last episode, so we're not going to go into too much detail this time. But I just wanted to share. So I finished my second sleeve.
Okay.
So, one sleeve. 2 sleeve.
Hold on, there's going to be 3 sleeves.
And I've made a little bit of progress on the body. So this is with British Breeds wool, and it is just so fun to do all over color work on the body. We talked a little bit about the challenges with the sleeves last time, so I'm glad they're
3
done.
sleeves. I finished 1 sleeve too.
Look how great they look.
Can you tell the difference in the color?
Yeah. I've got more like the beige, or I think this is called the quince, the kind of light tan color.
I hope they're going to be long enough for Anna.
Yeah, so this is the thing. This is what I want to talk about. So
okay.
I am at the point, obviously done the sleeve. So if you're looking at the pattern here, where you end your sleeve is right here. Right underneath the tan and white X's. So it's right here, Mom.
Okay.
That looks really low to me. That's like here. Right? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, look how low that is on her arm.
Oh, yes.
That's right here.
Oh, okay.
So there's
the yoke comes down.
Yeah, all of this is when you, like, all that up is when you start to join. So I'm like,
okay.
This feels... Oh.
I'm going to interject there. Now carry on talking because I think I know.
So I'm a little nervous that it's going to be, like, really a lot of fabric and bulky here. And I've been looking on Ravelry at some people's projects, and there's been at least one woman who modified it. I'm gonna trust the process, but I'm just curious for anyone that has knit this pattern or has, I actually haven't done a sweater pattern where I've knit the body and the sleeves and then joined. And when I've done, so I'm just a little nervous about this.
Okay.
Like, it feels to me that it's gonna be a lot here. So I don't know. And also I've read the instructions for this section at least 10 times and I don't quite understand them. So when we get to that point, I think when I get to, joining. Sorry, excuse me. Like, when I get to the point where I've done the body up to where this right here. So when I'm there on the body, we're going to have a meeting of the minds.
Okay. So I'm just going to say two things.
Okay.
One, I have made a sweater like that.
Yeah.
And you have another one, the Rainier, which is on your needles.
Right, which I never got to the joining part.
You never got to the joining part. So this is it's a circular yoke sweater, and of course they can be knit top down or bottom up.
Yeah.
And I haven't made much progress on my this one, the Birkin. But as I was looking at the Birkin was on the mannequin as you were talking, and you can see how this is a yoke down sweater, how the sleeve joint is actually pretty low.
Yeah. Does that mean there's too much like fabric up here?
So I think you can try this on and you can use this as a gauge.
Yeah.
The sleeve joint is actually pretty low. But yeah, we would love to hear.
Anyone have any
experiences with that?
I'm worried. It's like, it looks great on the model, and a lot of people do have some really nice photos on Ravelry, but I did notice that the larger sizes, their join is at a different point in the pattern, so it's tough to tell. So I have to click through and see the size small or medium, and sometimes people aren't actually wearing them in their FO pictures, which is fine, but I'm trying to find out how that fits on like a size small or medium, what that looks like on someone wearing it. So
yeah,
I had trouble. I think there were only a handful that I found, and they looked okay, but it's tough to tell. Okay, so that's our Primrose update. Stay tuned. We'd love to hear what you have to think or say about any experience you have. So
yeah,
on to other whips.
So I've been making reasonable progress on my Vattenlilja,
and that's water lily in Swedish.
Although I did rip back like Justin from Bearded Purl, knitting a ton of sweater, ripping it out, knitting it again. I did that with this because I thought it was too big, and I was going through way too much yarn. Color. Yeah, it is a beautiful red actually. So this is another top-down raglan, but in this instance, you're knitting a cable whilst doing the raglan increases. So the first time around, I got to about here, and I was going through this yarn like there was no tomorrow, and it's discontinued yarn. I tried it on. It seemed a bit big, so I ripped back to here and I changed the rate of increasing for sleeves and body. I decreased the rate of increasing on the sleeve.
Okay.
Because I thought the sleeve was too wide. And then instead of casting on 6 stitches for the underarm, I cast on 4. So I'm kind of blurring between the small and the medium size.
Okay.
I'm still going to be playing Yarn Chicken. It still might be kind of loose on me, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And I just started the color work last night for the water lily at the bottom.
Cute. Very
And
nice.
I'm using some black linen. So this is it's only 10% linen, 90% acrylic yarn. That's by Sirdar, that's discontinued. So yeah, this is going to be a shortish top, not crop.
Okay.
So I should be able to finish it pretty soon.
Is it going to be long sleeve?
It should be sleeves just up to the elbow, but
Okay, yes.
I think I'm going to run out of the red.
You could always do a black. You could always just do black to do it another inch or so.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. I've got all sorts of black linen leftovers in my stash.
There you go.
So that's what I'm going to do. And you said I'm calling it my Japanese lily. I think it is kind of got a Japanese vibe to it.
Totally.
So I hope to have this finished next time. The color work is going really fast, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very
I'm
nice.
more than halfway through the color work, and then it's going to be pretty much over. So this is it's called summer linen. I'm not sure if that's showing up. And it's 50-gram balls, and I only have one full one left. I have about 1.5 left.
Yikes.
I'm gonna have enough to finish the body and hopefully just a little bit for the sleeves.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
You're using it up. That's great.
I'm using it up, yeah. What about you, Tashi?
So speaking of yarn chicken, so remember last time I was showing you the Ghost Whisperer by Park and Knit. Oh, I didn't make a sign, but so this is a cropped tee made with mohair at a very loose gauge. So last time I had shown I was doing I was using some really beautiful yarn, but it wasn't the right yarn for the project. And I appreciate everyone who commented and shared, because it was nice to bounce that off of all of you. So thank you for contributing to the conversation in the comments. So I had talked about how I was gonna do like a purple, like a lavender sort of gradient situation.
Ombre situation.
Ombre situation, yeah. Shoot, I didn't bring over the other purple, did I?
I saw it though.
Oh, here it is.
Because
Okay.
I almost bought some yesterday. I almost bought what we already had yesterday.
Yeah, so I have done the back.
Oh, wow.
And the I just am about to do the front neck shaping.
Okay.
So I've done the body separated for the front and back, all in one color, and I have this much left. So here's the thing. We just have one skein of each of these, right? Mm-hmm. And I wanted to use them up. So I actually, when I was about halfway through the body, I did switch to this lighter purple, and I just didn't like the way it looked transitioning at such a loose gauge with the mohair. Just didn't look good, and I wasn't feeling it, and so I ripped it out. Then I kept going in the purple because I was like, I want to use this. I don't want to have a random amount left over. And I was really worried about splitting here. And I couldn't quite tell. I didn't want a line right across my chest. So I did try using the white, and then again, I just didn't like it. So I kind of want to do all in one color, but I know you went to our local yarn store, Driftwood Yarns, and Elizabeth was out of this. So I do have enough to finish the front and probably do the neckband. Should I do the sleeves in this lighter purple? They're balloon sleeves.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
I think that might be okay. Although Elizabeth did offer to order.
That is
more
really
of that
nice.
yarn.
Yeah. So I'm gonna finish the front and then decide. So or do I do the sleeves in white and do like a super contrast?
I actually think the white might be nicer.
The white is actually the same yarn.
Yeah, but it's a different gauge. That's right.
The white is the white and the lavender are Ella Rae, Silky Kid, and the
lilac.
This is Diablo. It's like a little bit different.
Yeah, my vote is to do the sleeves in white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be kind of nice. I mean, it's going to look a lot softer than this because it's going to be airy, right?
Yeah.
Like, look how dark this looks. It's hard to tell, but it'll be lighter when it's knit up. So it won't be as sharp of a contrast, but it will. Yeah, maybe I'll do the sleeves in white. I think I'll commit to that. I appreciate Elizabeth ordering, but I'm not going to use a whole skein, and I wanted to try and use up these like single mohair skeins, and then we're going to end up with half a skein again. So I'd rather kind of get through this, and then we can figure out like another mohair project. So yeah, I am excited about this. It feels really nice too.
It does feel
it's just, and it's called the Ghost Whisper, and this is just like so light.
Well, one of these is 25 grams, so
It's
this
just
is like less
air.
than 25 grams.
It's like wearing air.
So Natasha, what are you going to wear underneath it? Are you going to make yourself a bralette?
I mean, that would be cute too, but I think I'll just wear like a bandeau or like just a black or a nude bra, I think. I don't know about having something knit underneath. I think it might be too much.
Yeah, I guess so. But I kind of in my head, I thought maybe like a plain black bralette, that just plain stocking stitch.
Yeah, that could be fun too.
Um,
Yeah, we'll see. I think I have options. I can wear multiple things.
That's true. I'm excited to see how it looks on.
And you know, if Anna really likes it too, I could do a body with this with her, and then white sleeves. Well, I have left over, and then I've used them all. So we'll see.
I have a feeling that this is something that Anna would like.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that. I really hope to finish this soon. I'm excited about it.
That would be fun.
Okay. So I have one other fun project to talk about.
Do you?
So last time I was home a couple of weeks ago, after we finished recording, we were doing a little cleaning up, and I was going through some of my mom's bags, and I found something pretty cool. Let me back up. So I don't know if anyone's watched the show Emily in Paris on Netflix, but it's a fun, like, super lighthearted show. But the fashion is really nice.
I haven't seen it.
I watched a few episodes with Dad, actually, and there was one episode where she was wearing this really cool mohair sweater, and you did see it because I paused, and then I looked, or actually no, I think I looked up the sweater. There's some websites where you can like Google episodes of shows, and there's like as seen on TV clothing. So I found the sweater, and I showed you a screenshot of the sweater.
Oh, yes.
And both you and Dad were like, oh, that's like late 70s, early 80s mohair sweater. And I was like, yeah, I want this. I want to make this. That was the night before we recorded our last episode. So then we recorded our episode, and then we were doing some cleaning up, and I saw something, and I'll insert a photo of what the sweater was that was on the show.
Okay.
And then I found this. And this is like so freaking close. So to what I wanted to, the serendipity of it was out of control. So I was like absolutely in love with this. And my mom made this. So there's a front, a back, and 2 sleeves, all done, just not pieced. All done.
And I made this when I was a student.
This is from the late 70s, early 80s. It was like...
Well, it's early 80s.
Early 80s.
I don't want to date myself too much.
It's early 80s.
I made this when I was in my second year at university.
It's
over 30 years old, and I never stitched it together.
And this was the whole pattern. It's this front...
And look at that. I used exactly the colors.
And it's the exact colors. And you know what's so funny? There's a ruler printed on here. See that? So, oh my God. All I have to do is stitch this together, and I have a sweater. And I'm totally taking this. I am so excited. So this is what you have left over. And this is different. This is slightly different mohair than some of this is a little bit different.
It's it's not as soft. It's the mohair from those days was very different. And you know what? It's probably 100% mohair. There's no yarn labels, right?
No yarn labels. This mohair wasn't actually in, this mohair isn't in the sweater. This is some rogue mohair, because this is definitely not this color. So this looks more like today's mohair. So this is rogue, but I like it. So I don't think I have the only issue, I think, is that maybe you have this to use to seam. I don't have.
Oh, there's no blue left.
There's no blue left for seaming the sleeves and everything together. So I'm gonna have to get a little creative. Maybe.
Oh, I must have something here.
Yeah, I mean, this might work.
Yeah.
And I'll try and do like is it Kitchener?
Mattress stitch.
Mattress stitch. I'll try and do mattress stitch, so it will be, not super visible, but maybe I'll use this to do it. So I'm just like, I almost wanted to just, right away, I was like, oh my God, I want to piece this together, but I wanted to show you all in pieces first, and then I will. So next time, I hope to have this done too. I am just beyond excited. I think the sleeves are like a little shorter, but that's totally the
and
look.
They're wide. The sleeves are kind of
but
wide.
like it's so fun. Like I'm so excited. Can you guys tell? So that
oh gosh, and I was very nostalgic when you found it. And then there's a stamp from what was my local yarn store then in Leamington Spa, and that was literally a 5-minute walk from where I lived.
Oh my gosh.
In fact, there were 2 yarn shops where I went to University of Warwick. We lived in Leamington Spa, and there were at least 3 yarn shops in the town at the time. There were 2 down the road from where I lived. It just brought back so many memories for me, and I couldn't believe that I had knit the whole thing, but I never seamed it, and then it traveled with me all the
So it's gone from the UK to Wisconsin to San Diego to North Carolina to Connecticut. and now it's going to Massachusetts.
Wow, I'm so excited to finish it.
Yeah.
What's the neckband like? Do you have to like pick up? Oh no, you don't.
No,
it's a raw neck.
It's a raw neck. So we'll see if I'll do it that way, and if I want to, I can do a little I-cord edging or something if it needs to be pulled in, because this is definitely 80s with the low shoulder situation or off the shoulder situation.
Off the shoulder.
So,
oh my gosh,
super excited, like beyond. So that's gonna be fun. Okay, a couple other fun things I want to say. For those of you who are relatively new, I don't mix as a ton of the ink part, but that's the hand lettering part of our little show here that I have a side business of, and I have an Etsy shop with some knit related cards if you'd like to check those out, and some info on how to learn lettering. So if you're interested in that, there's a link below. And then I also wanted to share, I've been watching a couple new podcasts. One is Arrow Knits and Pearls. That's her name on Instagram. And she does a lot of test knitting. And it's really interesting to watch her. She's Korean, and I think she's in Salt Lake City. I think that's where she is. And she has such beautiful taste in her color choice, and very like ethereal, pale blush. Like she likes like pale mint colors, and she does a really nice job with her test knitting. So and I like a lot of the designers that she's test knitting for. And I actually found her through Good Morning AF, and they're kind of a riot too and fun to check out. So yeah, I would check any new shows you've been watching.
So I caught half of the episode because it came up.
Oh, because we have a shared YouTube.
Because you subscribed, and I watched half of her episode 3 where she talks about... Of Arrow.
Yeah.
She made 23 sweaters, I think, in 2020, and they are all absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
So I was really inspired.
She does mostly garments. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I'm also excited that she has a true crime episode. I haven't watched that yet, but I like watching and listening to true crimes.
So yeah, I just came upon her this week because of you, and so the other knitting podcast that's new to me that I just started watching recently is called The Knitting Place. Okay. I found them through YouTube recommendation, I think.
Okay.
They have a yarn store in Long Island, and I've only watched 2 episodes, but I really like the garments that they're wearing or the samples that they're showing. And one of them is called the Rock Tea, which they showed in not the most recent episode, but the episode before this one. And it's a summer tea. It's knitted in mohair and fingering weight yarn, but the mohair is held single and it's striped. So it's the Rock Tea, and you hold. So I was thinking of maybe using this.
Yeah.
With this.
Pretty.
although this is lace weight.
Yeah.
But I don't want too much of a contrast, so I don't want it to look too stripy. I want it to look a little bit more kind of muted.
You might have to do a little test swatch.
So I'm not sure, but I really liked it. I really liked the idea of it looking like a subtle stripe, and it's pretty light, so it's a summer. So we're kind of moving into podcasts and dream knitting.
Yeah.
And then the most recent podcast of the Knitting Place, one of the ladies wears the Deshane, which is a pattern that's been around for a really long time. It's basically a boxy top with a big lace weight panel and tight sleeves. And there's a few that have been knitted out of this Hampton, which is a cotton linen blend that I had in my stash. And I'm thinking of making this for Pam, my hairdresser. She's been wanting me to knit her something, and I'm getting my haircut tomorrow from her. I need a haircut. She's going to cut my hair on a Sunday morning. Isn't that sweet?
Yeah.
So I might do a swatch today, or I might just surprise her. I'm not sure.
Okay.
And then I'm just moving right along. I do have a little bit of stash acquisition. I couldn't resist. Shibui Knits.
Nice.
Cohen.
This is very similar to what I knit my Thornet out of.
Oh yes. So this is linen silk blend. It's 70% linen, 30% silk. Yeah.
Okay, well I think that's good.
Yeah, I think that's it. I feel I've been a little discombobulated today.
That's okay. I think it's fine.
Okay. Oh, good.
It's real life.
It's real life.
So I think that's it for today. Thanks for watching. You made it through to the end. Don't forget to subscribe and all that jazz. And we'll see you again soon.
Yep. Happy knitting.
Happy knitting.
Bye.